For the last half a year, the show has taken over the internet in a way no cartoon has before, with over 300 million views on one episode. But with this second episode finally being released, which happened to be the same day as my prom, funnily enough, can it recreate its own hype? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to another quick joint, a series where a video is too long to be YouTube short, but too short to be a full-length video. Let's talk about this second episode, shall we? It starts off with this trippy nightmare of Pomni being abstracted and none of her homies caring. She wakes up still startled by the nightmare and not knowing how to open herself up to Ragatha after what just happened. Meanwhile, the gang has to explore another game in order to retrieve maple syrup for Kane from these NPCs.
Entire kingdom of candy sounds sticky.
Very sticky indeed.
Sounds
Bubble, you can't say that.
Also, I'm scared to know whatever this nigga just said. This whole thing just sends Pomni further down into crisis mode since she realizes the only purpose they all have is to infiltrate other people's worlds with different roles beyond their own purpose as people, or lack thereof, which would be a big concept within this episode. We then cut to the Bandit Brothers, the ones that stole the syrup in the first place. The fact that they're supposed to be robbers with these Western-like outfits is just so hilarious to me because that colorful Candyland-looking desert just contrasts the type of people they are and the role they have in the story so much. From the looks of it, they're basically vigilantes trying to get as much syrup as they can back home to the leader's mother to feed people in need. So these niggas are basically on some Robin Hood type timing. But too bad about that because here comes the squad.
Alright, Gangle, when we catch up to him, I'll jump over, crawl inside, and shoot him repeatedly until they're unrecognizable.
I feel like that violates some kind of convention.
You're violating my ears with your clapback. Get driving, driver!
Also, this nigga Jax needs therapy the most out of all the main characters. I mean, I knew something was wrong with dude from jump, but hey, it's still worth pointing out. The bandit niggas try to get away, but Jax ends up forcing Pomni into holding both of their vehicles in place. Like that one Spider-Man scene that I did a really bad MS Paint drawing of in 6th grade.
Man, shut your bitch ass up. They don't ask you the bitch ass thing. No shit the fuck up.
Also, I gotta talk about how hard the score is in this scene. I believe Gooseworks, the creator of the show, does most of the music herself. And mixing in these orchestral-esque arrangements with drum and bass is just so cool to me. I mean, just from watching any video I've put out in the last 4 months, you can tell I like drum and bass. So, in fact, you know what? Let me put every video I've made in the last 7 months on screen right now. Damn, that's it. I really gotta lock it. The visuals in this universe are really great too. The lighting low-key gives me like Mario 3D World vibes. I also find it funny despite how twisted of a character Jax is personality-wise, his lighting low-key shines the brightest out of all the main characters. I don't know if it was intentional, but it's still cool nonetheless.
Hey, Gangle, you should ram into him.
What? You should not ram them. Pomni's still on board.
Ayo, he cold for that though. Due to an unfortunate string of events, the gang's trunk ends up falling into a pool of chocolate, and the bandits' vehicle ends up crashing, leaving its leader Gummigoo and Pomni along with him stuck in an empty room. Gummy has an existential crisis after seeing the lifeless models of all the people in the game he's from, including himself. It's almost like he's fallen into a game dev's computer or something. He then asks Pomni for answers, but she's just as clueless as he is. The whole time, bro didn't even know he was an NPC. The actual definition of an NPC in a video game is a character that usually serves the least amount of purpose out of any character, and usually used for side missions and additional playthroughs, rather than having a huge effect on the core of the game. I'd assume Gummy and his brothers' only purpose is to steal syrup, something that, judging from what we saw earlier, was being done for a good cause. But now he has to question why that's his only purpose, and who was deciding this for him. At least that's what I'd assume is happening. Damn, that actually got a lot darker than I expected. I watched this episode once before I started scripting this, and I still forgot that he was starting to question his mother's own existence, which just makes his whole character more compelling to me. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang runs into this chocolate monster with some severe mental health issues.
I am the Fudge. I used to live within the kingdom walls, but I was banished by that rotten princess after I ate too many of the delicious townfolk. Oh, they were so delicious. Sometimes I can hear them calling to me. Man, shut your bitch
We cut back to Pomni trying to cheer Gummigoo up by telling him that he might have a larger sense of purpose by joining the circus. In this moment, Pomni has finally found someone in the same place of existential questioning she's in. Before this, Pomni had nobody to confide in, or at least that's what she felt. In this scene, she's separated from Kinger and Gangle, who are both nervous wrecks, or at least the latter is, for the most part. Jax. Kane's too busy trying to worry about everyone's needs than just Pomni's. Zulu doesn't seem to rock with anybody from the looks of it, and because Pomni is so deep in her own sorrows, she hasn't realized that Ragatha's been trying to make her feel more included this whole episode. In this scene, her and Gummy really only have each other. They find a model of the car they crashed and manage to escape the room they fell in. Gummy goes back to the circus with the others while the princess thinks he's about to get murked, but as we the audience know, bringing him here is Pomni's plan to give Gummy a new lease on life that is definitely going to work.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
I know you guys love your NPCs, but if I start losing track of who's a human and who's an NPC, who knows what could happen?
So did Kane actually kill this nigga, or did he just send him back to his own world? I legit think it's interesting that they kind of left this vague. Like 2 episodes in, you still don't completely know what Kane's intentions are, and nothing creates more hype and anticipation for a show online than leaving room open for fan theories. Theory content pretty much carried the cartoon community for better or for worse back in the mid to late 2010s when TV still mattered, somewhat. The gang then decides to hold a funeral service for Kaufmo, that is, because all my homies hate Gummigoo, I guess. Or at least until after the episode comes out. Can somebody explain whatever this is? Jax doesn't see the point in the whole Kaufmo funeral thing. This nigga's like way more cynical than he already was last episode. And honestly, I hope at some point in the next 7, we could get proper context on why he is the way he is. Speaking of cynicism, I hope they do more stuff with Zubul as well, but back on topic, this funeral scene is really heart-wrenching, especially with Pomni's vision of Kaufmo's spirit grabbing her hand, tying it all together. It shows that even in their figuratively meaningless lives, they find purpose within each other. It's only a matter of time before us, the audience, gets to see that on full display, as this scene honestly feels like a preview for a more sentimental core that we'll get to see more of later on. Gooseworks herself made a tweet not too long ago about how the rest of the season is going to be nothing like the pilot. You could already see the show evolving just with this episode alone. We still get the zany Monster of the Week format that I've suspected the show has been establishing since I reviewed its pilot back in October. But in turn, we get an anti-hero that adds a lot more to the story than the pilot's antagonist, whatever this thing was supposed to be, and uses Gummigoo as a way to string more emotion onto Pomni's growth as a character. Much like the pilot, this episode teases more character stuff while slowly giving us more to care about in the present moment. And with how long episodes take to make in the indie world, this is the perfect structure for the show to have. Anyway, this has been a quick joint. Watch my previous video on the show, subscribe to the channel, follow my socials, and until next time, I'm out this mode.